Hello friends, it's Simone. I'm here to swatch some inks with you. These were all sent to me by Naomi from the Inky Hobbit. She heard me say on one of my videos that I'm looking for the best brown out there and I hadn't found it yet. And so since she was on the same quest, she offered to pass along some of the samples that she had tried. So now she actually sent me 12 inks. And then some more. I think there were, 15 maybe? 12 plus 3 is 15, yes. So there were 12 in these glass bottles, and they were numbered 1 through 12. However, I think they were all packaged in threes, or I'm not sure. Three of them leaked. And the numbers were obscured. So this was not just a swatching game, but it was also a let's figure out what inks these are. Of those, I think they contaminated each other, so I'm not 100% sure that the 3 inks that I'm swatching, that I'm not knowing which ones they are exactly that same shade. And you will figure it out really quickly when we get to Diamine Earl Grey. But let's talk about the first ink, which is Mont Blanc Toffee Brown. It's a really nice brown. Red leaning. It has on the Tomoe River paper, especially in heavy applications, there is some gray tints to it. I haven't yet put these into my color family notebook. I haven't made a full-on video about that notebook yet. I just talked about plans, and if you want to see more about the idea and a quick early flip, I will link the video where I talked about that book in the description box below. It's all the inky notebooks that I'm using currently. That really long video, it's included in that. I'm slowly working my way through that and adding colors from the very same family, and also doing chromatographies. And what I found with those is that every time there is a grayish hue on Tomoe River paper, the chromatography also shows that there is gray in the color included, which I find very interesting. That's why I do these things, because I love exploring that, and it just brings me so much joy. I don't really know why I need to know all these things. It's just bringing me joy, and so I do it. I am swatching my inks on 2 different kinds of papers. The book that you see is Tomoe River paper 52 GSM that I purchased from Paper Penguin Co. It's the original Tomoe River paper, and it originally was an A5 notebook that I cut down to standard size. The other paper that I'm using, the ones that you see with holes, are from coloring. I recently decided to make my own, but these are still leftover coloring cards. The reason why I decided to step away from coloring cards is not because they're inherently bad or anything like that. They're really an amazing option for swatching inks, but as you can see, I am switching the way that I'm making these swatches on the cards to a horizontal layout, and I'm not keeping them on a ring anymore. And so I have mixed media paper, I have a cutting machine. I actually, even if I don't want to use the cutting machine, I have scissors, a cutting thinger, one of those cutters, and a corner rounder, so I can make them myself without the hole, which is how I keep the cards now. You saw me circle the numbers that I weren't legible so that I would be able to put them in the correct order. I think I forgot exactly that specific time. I'm not sure, but I wanted to leave space so that I could add these inks after I was done with the swatching. You will see what I mean. So in the meantime, while I was talking, I swatched Pilot Iroshizuku Yamaguri, which is also a reddish brown, but I think it has a green sheen to it when it's dry, especially in the heavier applications, and it's not as red leaning as Mont Blanc Toffee Brown. It's really funny because I said that I'm looking for an ink that is not red leaning, but the more brown inks that I swatch that are not red leaning, the more I realize that I actually don't like them as much as the ones that are red leaning inks. So this was a good example and exercise in figuring out that no, maybe what I thought I liked wasn't what I actually liked. The next one was Troublemaker Tablea, which I'm really excited that I have, because I saw that on somebody else's video and thought I would want to try that ink, and now I realize I actually have a sample in my stash and I can use it, which is really cool. This video was filmed, I'm actually not sure, sometime in April, March maybe, and that's when I still used my Kakimori brass nib to edge the side of the card. And I have since come to realize that it's, first of all, the brass, sometimes, especially when there's not enough ink on the card, on the nib, it scratches the card, the paper, and it makes the ink look much darker than it actually is. And so I am now using the cotton swab when I make the swatch on the card, on the swatch card. I'm using that cotton swab to also add that strip on the top so I can sort it and index it better. So I'm playing with these three inks that are not legible. One of them is supposed to be Sailor 50 States Texas. One of them is supposed to be Diamine Saddle Brown, and the other one is supposed to be Diamine Earl Grey. And so this is where my confusion starts. This sample card that you see down here is Diamine Earl Grey, and it's gray. It's not at all brownish. So, and then I looked at my computer and tried to figure out what other inks I could find from the images. And so I decided that the one that was closest to 50 States Texas on the screen would be the one that, like I puzzled it together basically from the cards that I put, the swatches that I put on the swatch cards, and then I added them at the correct spot. Besides, the Sailor 50 States Texas should be one up, and Pelican Smoky Quartz that I didn't talk about yet should be below 50 States Texas. And the minute or the exact time that I noticed that I really like red leaning inks was when I swatched Sailor 50 States Texas. This is such an amazing color. Yeah, I really want to use that in a pen as well. Smoky Quartz wasn't for me, which is interesting because Troublemaker Tablea is also one of those greenish, dirty, poopy colors. Maybe that's why I don't like the browns that are green leaning. They all look kind of like poop to me-ish. I haven't found a brown that is not red leaning that I like. Let's put it this way. And then I have Diamine Saddle Brown, which is, I think, if I look at it now, dried, it looks like a purple leaning brown to me, which is interesting. The problem that the trouble that I went through here was that I think my nib was too watery still. And so I should have dried it off more. And so I needed to, there was this really big splotch, and yeah. But Diamine Saddle Brown is also a contender of ink that I would put into a pen. Then I had to wait. This took me forever. This is, this video was originally over an hour long, and I sped it up 4 times. That's why it takes so long, and that's why I'm not talking about the ink that you see, because I can't even talk that fast. So then I waited for everything to dry, and then I continued swatching. The next color that is on my list here is Papier Plume Pecan. And Papier Plume inks are a bit, not weird. Weird is not the right word, but I feel like many of them have gray in them. And they all lean or have a gray hue on Tomoe River paper, which is something that you need to get used to or know about these inks, so that you can be prepared that they will not be as vibrant as they are on the swatch cards. Papier Plume Pecan in the big swatch on the Tomoe River paper is reddish with really dark haloing around it, dark brown haloing. It's a nice ink. To me, it looks more magenta-y than brown, but you know, that's just how it is. So I'm skipping because I'm still really wondering what it is about that Earl Grey, because it doesn't compare to the Earl Grey that I have used and received from my friend Maria. The purple ink that you just saw me swatching was a chromo shading ink from Sailor. It is Sailor Ink Studio 224. It lays down light purple, and then when it starts drying, it chromo shades into really bright magenta pink and greenish teal. It's nice. I really need to put that into a pen as well. I haven't tried it seeing in a pen. I know that the Sailor Manyo Neko Yanagi, which is very similar but I think a little bit lighter, when I write with it, then the chromo shading is so extreme that it becomes very illegible, which I didn't really know when I put these chromo shading inks, which I really like on the swatches, into pens, that it makes the whole writing very colorful and thus very, very hard to reread, which is not a real problem if you just write to get things out of your system. But if you want to actually read it again, it's a bit harder. The next one is Troublemaker Abalone, and I think this one is a really great contender for a chromo shading ink that is still legible, at least on this swatch. Again, I have so many samples. I think in my last video I didn't even say the number. So if you're coming from that, then I do have 160 ink samples at the moment, which is a lot. And I do want to get that number down. I'm going to participate in 30 inks 30 days in September, so that will get me, and then I will just use it for one day and pass it along, and that's it then. So that would get me down to 130 if I don't get any more, which, you know, let's be real, there would be probably some coming in more. We'll see. Let's talk about the inks before the video is over and I'm not done. So Dominant Industry Wonder Pens Ginger Chicken, another one of those. It's almost orange. It's a really, really dark orange. It's an orange brown. One of those. Love it. This one I would totally buy a bottle of if I were into ink bottles. And then Dominant Industry Winterwood is the very first really, really dark brown that was very attractive to me. It's not poopy. It's not red leading, at least not as far as I can tell, but it's also not black. It's a nice color. Okay, last ink that I'm swatching, there was one more, which is Kyo Iro 1 Cobblestones. It's a very, very light brown that I'm not showing as a swatch because I just could not continue swatching. I was done. That was a very, very long sitting. Is Van Diemen's Harvest Nutmeg, and I would say it's too light. It's pinkish with brown undertones, brown with pinkish undertones. And now I'm showing you all the browns that I have swatched in this session. I think I have a clip of the comparison with the Earl Grey. I'm trying to see which ones are similar, which ones are not. I don't even think I'm bringing out any of the samples that I have from my stash. This is the Earl Grey that I was sent, and the other one is the Earl Grey that I have used from Maria, so they're not even close. And the same thing happened to me with the Troublemaker Abalone. The swatches are completely different. One sample is from my friend Amy, and this one is from Naomi. So the Amy swatch leans more purple. The Naomi swatch leans more teal, which I thought was super interesting. So I am done. This was the video. Thank you so much for watching. I am still in the process of moving, and I have some pre-recorded videos for you all through the month of June. I hope to see you at the other end. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Until then, bye.